I'm holding off on buying a house until the market corrects itself. Have you ever heard somebody say that before? I personally hear that a lot. People think that the housing market is so messed up that the prices are inevitably going to come crashing down in the next 6 months or a year. And I personally can't speculate on whether or not that's true. I don't think anybody can accurately predict what's going to happen in the market in the future outside of a lucky guess. So I'm not here to talk about that. What I do want to talk about is, does it make sense to wait for the housing prices to potentially decrease in a year's time before you buy a house, or should you just buy a house now with the current market conditions? And when I say that out loud, it almost seems like a stupid question. Obviously, if you want to invest in something, you should wait for the prices to be as low as possible, right? Well, this is not the stock market. The average person doesn't have cash to buy the house. If you do have all cash to make a fully cash purchase, then obviously you should wait for the prices to be as low as possible. But the average person is going to be using a loan, and with that comes interest. Money's not free. And I think that the average person who's using a loan greatly underestimates how much of an impact interest rate has on your monthly payments, and also how much you're paying over the total life of the loan. So I want to take a look at a few examples, what an example of today's market looks like, and what that might look like in a year with different prices, whether they go up or down, and interest rates, whether they go up or down. Let's take a look. So what if we have a house in today's market that is worth $300,000? You can probably expect to finance that around 2.95% if you're well qualified, and that's going to bring your monthly payment to about $1,200, more or less depending on what your down payment is. I have my lender Hayden Hamilton run these numbers so that way we can get some accurate numbers to work with here. So what if in 1 year's time the housing market does take a downturn, and the same house that's worth $300,000 today is now worth $275,000? Well, congratulations, you just saved $25,000, and everybody that bought a house in the last 2 years is left holding the bag. Or is that right? Because we also have to account for interest. And what happened when disaster struck and COVID happened for the first time? Well, interest rates came down to the lowest point that they ever have been in pretty much history, right? Well, as things start to turn around in more of a buyer's market than a seller's market, then you can probably expect the interest rates are going to revert back to closer to what they were before. So what if the interest rates are 4.0 instead of 2.95, pretty much, entire percentage point over what they are now? Well, how does that affect things? So you save $25,000 on the purchase. However, your monthly payment is going to be about $50 more, and you're going to end up spending $19,000 more over the life of the loan. So you really didn't save any money at all. Now, of course, you might not have a 4.0 interest rate. Nobody knows what's going to happen to the interest rates, just like we don't know what's going to happen to the purchase prices or the housing prices. So, it might be less than that, and you might break even, or you might even save a little bit of money, but that's just to show you that, things might not be as black and white as they seem. Now, what if the housing market doesn't go down? People are just assuming that that's going to happen. Well, you're really just flipping a coin. So what if the housing market keeps going up at the same rate that it has been going up for the last year? Over the last 10 years, things have not been all that different. Yes, when COVID happened, it did take a little bit of a sharper increase up, but overall it's been pretty consistent. So if housing prices keep going up the way that they have been, in 1 year's time, this $300,000 house is going to then be worth $335,100. Well, what if interest rates continue to rise, again, as they have been over the last year? Well, the $335,100 financed at 4% is going to mean that you're spending hundreds of dollars per month more than if you would have bought today, and you're going to be paying $120,000 more over the life of the loan than if you would have just bought today. So you're losing on all ends. Now, these might be extreme scenarios, but they're not outside the realm of possibility. I wanted to demonstrate that things are not as black and white as they seem, and if you're waiting on buying a house, you're taking a huge risk of losing yourself tons and tons of money over the long run. I think in general, the people that bought their house over the last 2 years don't regret their decision, and a lot of them are enjoying some early equity and potentially could sell for a profit today. I hope you learned something, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm always available.